Well, hello again, and welcome back to another edition of History and Whatevea. And hey, this episode is a very special episode because I've been trying to grapple with this beast for quite some time. How do I convey this topic? Because it's so near to my heart, and the more I delve into it, the more fascinating it becomes. And I really wanted to do one episode at least about this, but I learned I probably have many episodes that can be done about this. And this subject that I'm going to talk about today is the history of cannabis. Now, the history of cannabis is an incredibly long, weaved bramble through the history of mankind. It's kind of one of those things that has been involved with us since the beginning of us. And I think that it's one of those things like horses where if you remove it from the equation, from our development, I think you don't really have, you don't have as swift a development because of the sheer usefulness of the hemp and cannabis plant. It has over 25,000 uses. You know, this is a very versatile plant. And what always is the question for me is that why the criminalization, why the demonization, why the hatred of such a extremely useful plant? I mean, Thomas Jefferson himself said that it was of the first necessity to prosperity in this country because he believed in the plant so much. George Washington was also a big proponent, having many hemp fields. Benjamin Franklin also. You know, they believed in hemp. Well, where did they get it? It actually doesn't really come naturally from this continent. We brought it here via, well, it seems Asia. So, India and China. And in fact, that's where I'm going to start this story. Because, there's so much of the history of this plant that we don't know. And it often gets glazed over how embedded it is in history. And it's so rarely talked about. So incredibly rarely talked about in history, the usefulness of this plant. And how incredibly crucial it is to our development as humans. So the story actually starts in Yongsheng, Taiwan. Now, I'm just doing my best with that. But this was 10,000 BC. They found some pottery with a little hemp rope or cord on it with a beating stone for like processing the hemp into fiber to make said cord. Something like that. This is the earliest in existence known use of hemp or cannabis. Okay? 10,000 BC. So you move on down the line a little bit. 8,000 BC, we get hemp cloth that was discovered in Mesopotamia, in present-day Turkey. So this is actually one of the oldest relics in human history. It's one of the oldest pieces of evidence that we have that suggests that hemp was really the first plant to ever be cultivated in the world. That's incredibly significant. I'm trying to build this point of how much this plant is embedded in our evolution. I did a earlier tagline about how history is just kind of embedded in our technology. Well, I'm talking about or the embedded and the relationship between the two, technology and history, is really always intertwined. And I think that there's uh, no better example than hemp to show that. Because we're making the first cloth is made from hemp. And this is going to help our development by keeping us safer, maybe, just from cold or scrapes and cuts, or maybe we're making things out of cloth for shoes, And we're way back in 8000 BC, okay? So if you go a little bit further, 55,000 BC is the earliest known depiction of cannabis. So people are starting to show it, and this is in Japan. So we're still, because there's a lot of trade happening in these areas and people migrate, and even in these ancient times. So these seeds, if they were present in China, they're present in Japan, they're present in India, but it's not really proven that, things are being used yet or cultivated, except for, we have evidence in Turkey there with the oldest relic of cloth. But, you move on, and the first, true use in China of hemp for ropes and fish nets, 45,000 BC. Or 4,500, you know what I mean. 4,500 BC. Give me a break. I'm a comedian. All right. And, so you've got actual ropes and developed to the point of fishnets. So, we're seeing this starting to be pretty widely used. Because then, 500 years later, hemp is used widely in China for foods, oil. There's all sorts of things that it's being used for in China. So this whole time, they've been using it. And it's starting to become one of those staples, just like silk. And of course, the Chinese pioneered the development of silk as well. So they're well versed in the use of fibers to make items. And hemp, of course, being the best out there that there is, that's why. So this is laced into our history from the very beginning, progressing us as people. So 3,500 BC, you got hemp showing up in Egypt. So they're using it there too. Another 500 years later, they find evidence of hemp being used for food. Not long after that, 2,700 BC, it's used for medicine, fiber, oil. The first written record of hemp in a book, 2,300 BC. So do you see this whole thing is kind of in a progress line? It's being used throughout this entire time. From 10,000 BC, where we can first show that it is being used. So that means that there's still a couple hundred years before that there was progressing. And you move all the way through, and you end up with about 2000 BC, hemp is starting to show up all over the world. It's one of these universal plants that has shown its usefulness, and the entire world has started to catch on by 2000 BC. I don't understand. There's not really anything else that has this type of popularity. So Move a little bit further forward. 1200 BC. Hemp cloth found in the tomb of Pharaoh Akhenaten. Okay, I mean, there it is. Still being used. And it's becoming more sacred at this point. When you find it in the tomb of a pharaoh, this is something very important. And, in that same time period, records of hemp use as a medicine from the time of King Ramses III. So its qualities are known if they're using it for all these things. You don't put something in your tomb if it isn't important to you. So this kind of shows me that it was very important to these ancient peoples. And it was becoming more entwined into their societies. So entwined that any trade started to ship it around the world. Not only in its textile form, but seed form. It's going around the world. It grows in almost all of the environments in the world. I mean, this is kind of show it's not all environments, of course, but it can grow almost anywhere. And it grows quick and fast. The only problem is it's very hard to process, but it's so useful that it must be done. I've even heard of the cannabis being planted around kings, palaces and things to be used for the war efforts for, clothing, all sorts of stuff, whatever. Hemp seeds are known, use it for food. It's got medical properties. They know how to do that. Salves, tinctures, most likely, things like that. You get 1100 BC. You're starting to see it even in the Western world because the city of Carthage started using it for their ships, for sails, rope, food. They were using it for many other things. And what was presented to me in the research that I went over was sort of like giving the advantage to Carthage for using this very wonderful plant and figuring out how to use it for seafaring travel. So seafaring travel, the reason why there really wasn't too much else, there were things that were maybe similar that they did make cloth out of, but nothing was as durable as hemp because the moisture in the sea, the salt in the sea water would just deteriorate just about anything. And the only thing that really stands up to that is hemp. And they've even found some shipwreck off the coast of Sicily where they found it, years later, a couple thousand years later, in modern times, and they're like, whoa, this is still recognizable as hemp. That's how durable the stuff is. It's just nothing matched in the ancient world. Another 100 years goes by, you see the beginning of cultivating cannabis in India. And, I almost think that that's a whole episode of its own, is hashish and how India uses it and Afghanistan. I mean, it is spread so far and people know of it. Morocco, there's a lot of hashish smoking in the culture. Right, actually, let me see here. Let's talk about smoking. I believe the first evidence of people smoking it was 2500 BC. And it was used for burial rituals. They would have these little wooden burners, and they would put hot rock or something in there, and then they would put oil or something in there, and it's believed that they would inhale the smoke. So what it was is they found one of these really old burners, and they were able to chemically analyze it to show that it had a high level of THC. And they said, that the fact that it had a high level of THC meant that they were cultivating it and knew its uses. And also, it was a higher climate. They were talking about some other environmental things that could make the THC numbers go up. But that really does show that it was probably some sort of hashish or oil or something like that. And we'll go back to the timeline. Of course, I wanted to get that part in there. There's also like a lot of depictions in Egypt as well as kind of where we were. And we've moved kind of a long way through history, but as I was looking this stuff up, it was quite difficult for me to find ancient examples, specifically in the really old days, because there just isn't a whole lot, and a lot of this is proven because we've been able to find archaeological evidence, and the farther back you go, the harder it is to find archaeological evidence. But, by 450 BC, you have Herodotus mentioning it. And he's, Herodotus is Greek. And he said, hemp garments are as fine as linen. So, he's showing that this stuff that's might be relatively it's kind of new to him, it sounds like, but still, there it is, showing up in Herodotus. So you've got it from Asia to Egypt and Afghanistan, and it's being cultivated for fiber. 400 BC, Buddha was subsisting off of hemp seed. So, as far as I found on that, when he was sitting under his tree, the original Buddha, the OB, and trust me, I did not do too much research into this. This is just kind of some stuff that I came across, so forgive me. As always, if any of this is inaccurate, please give me an email, and we'll talk about it. But it was said that the Buddha sat under the tree for, I want to say it was a whole year, but it was a really long period of time where all he ate was one hemp seed a day. So, that's a little bit like lore, but still, you're talking about something very sacred, right? It's very sacred, it's very useful, it's spreading around the world, everybody's making their sales out of it. So we got to about 100 BC, you have the first paper that had survived into our time. So the Chinese at about 100 BC had already, I don't know if I would say perfected, but chances are they have developed and tried the paper, and paper wasn't something that was like a closely guarded secret, from what I understand. Like, their making of hemp and just like the making of silk, these are secrets. These are things that people pass down generationally. So it's not out of the realm of possibility to me that this art of making paper came way before 100 BC. But the oldest surviving piece of paper was from China, made from hemp and mulberry. And of course, mulberry they would feed the leaves to the worm, the silkworm. So, and there you have it. So, I didn't get, like I said, I had a hard time with this topic. So I had to figure out a way to break it up and kind of turn it into something else and make it a reoccurring thing, because this is really where I wanted to stop today. I know it's not a whole lot. I just kind of gave you a really brief rundown of the first 10,000 years of hemp. All right, here we go. 10,000 Years of Hemp in 20 Minutes by James Manning III. All right. Well, that's just kind of where I wanted to leave it because the next episode, the next installment of History of Cannabis, because this is going to continue, and I don't know how many episodes, but the next episodes we're getting into, hey, we're 100 years BC, so we're going to get into CE, or whatever the next measurement of time is, when Jesus shows. And, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the anointing oils and frankincense and myrrh and hash, like I said. So I think that's going to be another episode. But for today, what I have planned for you is a conversation, a little bit of history and whatever from my family. A little personal history with my cousin Chris. So I called him up on the phone and we had a little conversation. So that's going to be the episode this week, everybody. And here you go. Enjoy James Manning III and cousin Chris. That's this.
And you know what? Does it effing matter?
No, it doesn't. Actually, this is one of the things that happens from time to time, though. I mean, but wait a second. When you first, when was the first time you ever smoked weed, man?
Oh, damn.
Can you remember the very first time you ever...
Well, it was a long time ago at the sound of those pipes. However, I will say I remember it well. So, my older brother smoked pot. And I knew it. So these chicks down the street were smoking pot and told me they were going to take me with them and get me high. And I didn't want to go and let it be a first time, right? You don't want to be, girls.
Right.
I don't want to, go over there and fucking be catatonic on them or something. I didn't know what was going to happen. I've heard all these stories. I was a young man, so.
Yeah, you got to be
14,
tough.
15. Yeah, so, I was like, if I got to stand up tall. So my brother, I told him, I said, hey, Jerry, I want to get high, man. And so he went and got some out of my parents' bedroom. And then he came in with his toilet paper roll and some aluminum foil and some tape. And he made him a little steamroller out of a little toilet paper roll. And I didn't know what the name of it was, but it seemed very, not cool.
It didn't look cool at the time. It was less MacGyver.
No, I mean, I wiped my ass with that thing, I mean, put that thing on my mouth. There's a lot of turds have gone by before you got to that paper roll. Just saying. Yeah. Think of how many craps have been in, let's put that on my lips.
How many squares are there? Divide that by 4, 6, or 8.
How many double flushers has that fucking toilet paper roll seen? Anyway, you muscle through.
Yeah.
You muscle through. Risk reward, and the reward was great. I don't really remember, having a, out of body or, a, light, going on or no wah-wah pedal or anything, nothing. I just remember thinking, this is it, right? And so, for the reward that my brother did for me, I decided to, when my mom got home, of course, I took her, grabbed that toilet paper roll, took it to her and said, hey, look what my brother's done to me. Got me high. Use this contraption here, and I got poo tongue right now because I think I'm going to hell. Just had the devil's lettuce,
and I want to come clean about it right now and tell you everything.
Had the devil's lettuce, and your oldest boy gave it to me.
So,
Um,
wait a
I just ran
second.
the bus just straight over him, and then I backed it over him with giving him the toilet paper roll. And then they were all like, all serious and sitting me and my brother down. And I mean, it was like this, do or die moment. And my mom, is before my dad got home, because she's gonna tell the threatening was always tell dad, right?
Oh yeah,
And
Dad
then the
was the.
moment happened somewhere along that, of, well, where did you get your pot? I want to know who. And my brother just casually went, well, I got it out of your room, Mom.
I got it from watching you.
I got it out of your bedroom off that tray with the flower shifter on it in your closet. And she did not want to talk about it. My mom lived in denial that she ever smoked. Okay. So the conversation was over. We weren't talking about it anymore. And we both got sent to our rooms. And I don't ever remember being reprimanded or the conversation ever coming up again. However, I did get to ride with those girls and smoke that doobie. And they did drop me off back in my front yard, and that they didn't invite me out again.
Yeah.
I think theirs was much stronger because I remember coming home and attacking the Captain Crunch.
Just attacking the Captain Crunch. Okay,
Oh, it
so
was
wait a
brutal.
second
I
though.
kicked him in his donger.
you had to get back at him for that, huh?
Oh, dude, I had to get back and eat the whole box. That's right.
Oh man. Well, what
So
kind
yeah,
of
so my poor older brother, and you think, fast forward to these days, I live in Texas and he lives in Oklahoma.
well of all the states that I would have thought would have been right around the last to get on the bandwagon, it's like, whoa, Oklahoma.
Dude, no, Oklahoma has, Texas has medical card, but you can't get high on Texas weed. It's like 70%. It's basically CBD. It's
Wait,
got like such a minute.
so Texas has a medical program going too?
They do, but it's mainly for, the CBD and the cannabinoids.
Hmm.
And it's such a low level. I have one friend who actually has a card, and then my daughter's little brother has he's a low functioning autistic. Okay, and I believe he has a card. So there's not a lot of people that have cards in Texas. And the other person I know has a card just had a liver transplant. And I asked him, I was like, well, how's that work? He goes, it doesn't. I go, how do you mean?
Well,
He goes, you can't get high on Texas weed. And I'm like, oh.
yeah,
So they
okay.
they've just kind of come on to the scene barely.
So that's extraordinary. Like, it's crazy to me that that's even happening in those states. But I
Well,
mean,
considering
it's
Oklahoma,
medicine,
the belt buckle of the Bible, right?
Well, the thing is that
I
there's no
mean, hey,
reason.
you can't kill no babies, but fucking get high.
Well, it's just, I don't think
Forgive me
that
for saying it that way, but
I don't think that the Lord discriminated between tomatoes
hey,
and
man,
hemp, man.
brother Jeff ain't at the liquor store and he ain't dancing, okay?
Look at him. He's just sitting on the porch. Look at
He's
him.
just over there doing. He's smoking his medicine.
Well, okay. So
man.
tell me, what kind of weed was it? Was it just like you were telling me the other day about some crazy, or well, to me it sounds crazy, but just the brick weed and things that you used to get, like
dear
just the old school.
God.
Because like I never seen any of
Dude,
that.
when you
One time
got
somebody
pot,
showed me
let
some
me be clear.
One
Let me
time
be
somebody showed me some brown weed, and I was like, "What is that? I don't even. What is
Dude,
that?
you need
Tobacco?
to.
What is that?"
I'm almost 99 point sure that if I go, I don't want to speak to you, fucking Google. Shut up. Sorry about that. Go Beavers. What were we just talking about? Belt buckle weed? What? What were we just talking? I lost my place in line.
Oh yeah. It was the Google threw you off. Yeah, we were talking. What kind of weed was it
Oh,
that you were?
brickweed. Thank
Yeah,
you.
like the crazy brown brick weed. Like I know it doesn't
No,
look like the
I
stuff that's green in
literally.
Oregon these days. So.
All right, dude. Here it is. Brickweed pics. They have fucking images all over your Google. It's a thing called brickweed pics. And
Well,
dude, let me tell you, you need to see this just to get a visual, okay? I mean, because
okay.
you're talking like you would hold a square in your hand, and that'd be a fucking quarter pound. And it was swag, dude.
Here we go.
Smelled
I'm
like
checking it out.
gasoline. I mean, and because it was compressed and sold and shipped, dude. And you know how they would compress it and make it that way, dude? The stories I heard was they would put it in this container and while it was still wet, right? And they would use boards and trucks, and they would drive these trucks on trying to compress it. And then they would cut it up in bricks, and they knew what they had. And I'm sure later in life they had like probably presses to make it that way.
Well, I
Right.
mean,
You
the
had to. I mean,
that's how they used to make
look at the
hash
old
too.
International. When they would have bricks of it seized. You know what I mean? Like you see, like if you go to a little bit further into the Google world, you'll see like a big old, looks like a hay bale.
Oh yeah, I'm seeing them right now, and
Let
most
me
of them are
let me
just
tell you
like
this. Let me tell
green
you this.
though, which is weird.
JCM3. Let me tell you this. It was not pleasurable.
Yeah.
No, I mean you do to even go to the type of. I mean, you got to go. Okay, so
Yeah, some
the
of this stuff
progress
looks
of
pretty
the
gnarly.
Mid-America weed was always cartel weed.
Right, which is all this brick stuff because it's got to be transported.
Yeah, it's old school Mexican cartel weed.
And it's a
And
shit ton, so if it makes it there, you got all you need, right? Yeah.
oh, dude, somebody would have it forever. And then you hear about a bust, and you're like, no, because everybody was gonna be out for a while.
Damn.
But I never remember, and it was hit and miss. But the worst part about it was, you go pay for an eighth, or a quarter, nickel, nickel or a quarter. And, somebody pull up, oh, fucking dude, you get in a car with a fucking stranger, somebody you've never met in your life, and they're all shaped. They're acting like, they're holding fucking 10 bricks of fucking Miami Vice Coke. I'm like, dude, just chill out, man. I'm buying $20 worth of weed. Right? And they're all like, you know what? You don't have to be a dick about it. Or, oh, you can never buy from me again. I'm like, you know what? Good. Hey, next. Because there's 10 other guys selling that shit,
Yeah, it's like, wow. I
Dude,
could choose
and
somebody
the
else
thing
just
about,
as sketchy as you.
yeah, and these guys always thought they were doing me some big giant favor, and I'm like, dude, just take my money and fuck off, okay? It's a piece of shit bag of weed. I'm gonna go smoke this shit bag of weed. I paid you a shit bag, 20 shit bag dollars. So just go. Let's go fuck off different directions, okay?
Let's just go. You can be a shitbag over there, and I'm gonna take this shitbag over here, and that'll be the end of it, okay?
Dude, I mean, dude, I remember it was just awful. And I remember guys, dude, this one friend of mine, and I won't mention him by name, but dude, when you buy pot, let me tell you one thing you expect. You just want to get high. It's not too much to ask. I'm just asking one thing when I'm buying pot. I want to get high.
That's all you want. If it looks a little
I don't want
whatever,
a
that's
headache.
fine.
I
Just
don't want to
come
waste
on.
my time. I don't want you to fuck with it. And you got some jackass who can't be cool with making $5 on a bag. Right, on a $20 bag, he's not cool making his $5.
Yeah, and it's gonna be a little short too.
Yeah, it's going to be a little short. So what he's going to do is take a 0.4, a weight of this shit, and he's going to, he's got a quarter of it. He's trying to regain his money back to pay for his quarter. You got me?
Right.
And so what he does, he'll go take off the half of that quarter, and he's going to put a little water on it and put it in a little, Tupperware thing and throw it in the microwave. And oh my God.
What?
Dude,
the microwave?
The fucking microwave. And dude, for like 10 seconds, and all of a sudden that little eighth of weed gets re-moisturized. And if you hit it right, it blows up. All of a sudden, he's got an extra quarter. So he's selling that fucking quarter off in eighths and smoking the other good, which probably is shit anyway. None of it's any good because it's all brickweed, right?
Well, yeah, but it's like you are making that shit worse.
You're making it consciously worse. It's
you
like
are
the guy
just
that
sucking all the good out of it.
Sold no-dos and told everybody it was X. That It's like, wait a minute, I know what no-dos taste like,
No-dos.
Fucker, fucking selling capsules. It's like, I don't want no capsule.
You know what this is? This is no-dos and drywall. That's what this is.
This other dude was selling fucking, he would go buy fucking no-dos and fucking sinus medicine and crunch it all up, dude. He put it in a sock and beat it with a hammer. It was awesome. I remember that. I'll tell you his name because he was a special piece of shit. His name was Shane. And I remember watching him do this one time, and he had hair like Fabio, man. I'll never forget this guy. And dude, so he had acid, and that was the thing. I was like, yeah, bro, woo. And we were tripping. He's like, hey, I got to run back to the house and then come back to the club. You want to run back with me? That usually meant I'm getting ready to go get to smoke a joint, maybe snort a little toot, and come back to the club. Whatever. I'm getting to do something for free. Right? No, we stopped by the convenience store. He grabs a couple bottles of no-dos and fucking goes back to his house and grabs a fucking sock and shoves them in there. And he's beating on something. I can just hear this fucking noise, dude. I'm in the fucking living room, all right, minding my own business. And you just hear this. And I'm like, what the fuck? Right?
Yeah.
I'm tripping. I don't need noises like that. So, I roll up in there. He's got this sock he's beating on. I'm like, dude, everything all right? He's like, yeah, dude, check this out. He goes, that acid we were taking I get it out of a book and I take these slivers and I cut them up and I put them in the capsule and then I fill it up with no-dos and sell it off as X. I'm like, would you do what? He goes, dude, you've taken it. You don't care. And I go, well, no, I took your acid. And he goes, yeah, but this is even better. It has little no-dos with it. I go, you making speedball acid? What the hell? Last thing I do is have a bad trip and be wired out of my mind. Good Lord. Oh my God. Did you see the size of that chicken? I can't go to sleep. That sounds like awful mix,
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm looking at some of this stuff and it's like, my God, what is going on here?
I'm not making this up. That's what people did because they're trying to make a buck, and
Well, and the weird thing is I'm seeing like current.
I won't even lie about this, dude. It's so bad, dude. People used to cut, when I was in the club scene thinking I was cool. Now you've heard me say I was so cool about froze to death. Okay.
Right.
That ain't no lie. Okay, I thought I was fucking cool Mo D. And I was nothing but some fucking punk at the club with some booger sugar. Okay?
We all think we're OG when back then.
Oh, dude, if you do a little blow, you're a fucking astronaut, dude. Are you kidding me, man? Fuck you, man. I'm the greatest. No, dude, fuck yeah. You feel like you're fucking 20 feet tall, man. And, dude, they used to cut that shit with baby laxative. Talking about going back to the microwave. This is another microwave scenario, okay?
So is this like
microwaves and baby laxatives? I don't know what to call it.
This is like early 90s, though, right?
Laxatives. Huh?
Is we talking about early 90s, something like that?
Yeah, dude, back in the Coke scene and Miami Vice.
I figured he'd be like, 80s or something.
Pink carpet and a Nagel painting in the window. You knew you were if you walked in, saw some Nagel paintings on the wall, you knew you were going to get to snort some Coke. You're like, all right. Yeah. And it's just so 80s, or an Escher painting on the wall. All right. Something Escher. All that stuff would always be signals off of the 90s Coke days. But, dude, it got to the point at one time, dude, we'd start talking about going to get Coke, and I'd just be like, God damn, what was that? Oh, man. Fuck, dude, pull over, dude. Go to that McDonald's over there. I got to take a shit before we pick this up, man.
Oh my God, dude.
Dude, it was just because you knew as soon as you picked it up and got some, it was just gonna blow you out.
That's called Pavlov's prairie dog, I think.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm telling you, we'd be on our way to go pick some up, and I'd just be in the car, and my buddy'd be like, "Was that Garrett?" And I'd be like, "Sorry, man. I'm a little excited."
We better get some weed while we're there.
Yeah.
So wait a second, dude. I'm looking at some of this.
Next time? I'm like, no, you rolled your window first, so you've already sucked it up there.
So if you were going to get some weed too, how much would it cost you to get a big old brick of it? And from the looks of it, is it just like a whole plant that they just like cut down and smash together? Is that what's going on here?
No, I think they would pull the buds and mass production buds, right, with seeds and everything in it.
Yeah, because some of the stuff
Yeah,
looks freaking gnarly, dude.
dude, it had no seeds. It had seeds in it. I mean, dude, that was outdoor Mexican weed. Period. They would cultivate. I mean, it had bug spray
Because
all over it.
this would have been down southward as well.
Yeah, dude, and that's what what came across Texas and came into Oklahoma. And dude, it was easy to they would wrap it and stash it. That's what they did.
Yeah, and then you put some water on it and microwave it, and
Fuck that, dude.
booyaka.
Don't you be microwaving my weed, motherfucker, man. I will tell you one time I thought about doing that, dude. I won't lie. I will tell you. I bought an ounce of weed, right? And this is just fucking my luck, cuz. Okay, let me just be clear.
Well, okay, and then
I
what
bought
did it
some,
cost?
and I ended up smoking more than I was supposed to. And I was like, fuck, man, that was my rent money.
Oh yeah.
So I got the bright idea to do the same trick. Except you know what I did? I caught my weed on fire, dude.
You in the microwave?
Yeah, dude, it ruined it all. It was on fire. I mean, fucking Karma said he wasn't gonna let me do it, man. I ended up burning it all up, dude. Karma said, "Hey, you know what? You're not gonna get to do this."
Oh no! I think that the plant itself is just like, you can't do this to me. That's
Well,
it.
and if you don't put enough water on it, you didn't want to put too much on it because the water took it out. That to me, so I was thought I was being smart, and I ended up, look like fucking crazy fucking guard in Green Mile in there with no water on the sponge with my weed. Shit, like. Say, I can't believe I'm going to hell.
Oh my lord! The microwave. You should never put your weed in a microwave.
Absolutely
No,
not.
no one should ever have to do that. But some of this stuff, I'm like, wow, maybe
Well, hey
maybe
man,
it
you're
would be
learning on the
better.
fly in your 20s, and that's not like you got somebody going, "Hey, come here, let me explain this all to you."
Well, I know, and
Everybody's so paranoid, and this was the age of everybody narking on everybody, and everybody snitching on a DUI or getting caught with a nickel bag and turning you in. You know what I mean? It was just a
Mm-hmm.
whole nother time.
Oh yeah, before the internet.
It's like, well, wait a minute, nickel's a misdemeanor. I can handle that, asshole. You know,
Mm-hmm.
fucking hey, before you fold, fucking figure out what the consequences are. Asswipe.
Ass wipe.
That's a swipey.
Okay, so every once in a while, did you actually end up with some like Oregon weed or something? Was there like actually something that was worth hanging on
There
to
was
back in the
always
day, or
somebody back in the day either grew or knew somebody who grew, and occasionally I would come across some good. But the best that really didn't start happening, and I'm 53. That really didn't start happening until my late 20s, early 30s. Where I started rolling into endo and fucking, you know, nice fucking indoor grown hydroponic. At that time,
right?
that was hydroponic,
Right.
hydro,
Yeah.
hydro. You know, never.
Oh yeah.
I never knew anybody that had tie stick back in the day. However, my short stint in California, in the great city of Santa Maria, I
Oh.
remember. I remember. I was in sixth grade there, and I remember my brother stole my uncle's weed. And I remember he
A
chased him down
tale
and
as
got
old
it
as
back,
time.
and he got it back. And when he carried it off, it was like a Cheech and Chong stick with like a stick with and it was a good good 6-finger stick.
Oh
And
yeah.
I was like, what the fuck is that? It looks like a Choco stick or something. What the fuck? What did my brother steal from Uncle JJ?
Well, I can roll down and get whatever I want: drinks, edibles, ounces, and
Right.
whatever.
It's,
There's
dude, I
like
know when I
ounces
was
for you could
there, I
get
didn't
for
know what to make of it.
$30 and shit, and it's like usually I don't want those, but it's there. If you were like, oh, all I have is $40 for a month, and you're like, well, I can do that. It
Go
wouldn't be
buy the
as.
smalls. Go get in and get some smalls.
Sometimes you can find actual like pretty good weed, on the discount
Ah, dude.
here.
Let's
but
be clear. I mean,
it's
you don't.
better
I
than the
mean,
stuff I'm looking at on the bricks here for sure.
without fail.
Well, some of it is.
And now that Oklahoma has medical laws right north of me, and I'm telling you, when they first started, let's go back 2 years ago when you first were able to buy it. And I mean, let me tell you, it was almost like buying near beer. You're buying beautiful weed with all the good names: Durban Poison, Mimosa,
Mm-hmm.
your mama's left nipple. I don't know. I think they make them up
Oh
as they
yeah,
go. But
little
as
dog
I'm
shit,
just saying,
baby.
yeah. Let's be clear. It would be crystals and all that good stuff. You'd look at it and go, "Wow."
Is
And
this
then you'd
even
smoke it,
weed?
and you'd smoke it and go, "Wow." And then about 30 minutes later, you're like, "What happened? It's over."
Oh, it just
Yeah, it was
trails
all
off
front. It
real
was so
fast,
front
huh?
loaded. Oh, it was front loaded like out the wazoo.
Oh, and then
So
you're
you're
all
like,
spacey and high, but you're
yeah,
not stoned anymore. You're like, oh.
no, not at all. And it would last like 15, 20 minutes, and you're just like, boo. And I mean, you're talking top shelf shit, and it's like it's 27%, blah blah. And you're like, yeah, so
Yeah.
whatever.
Oh
And then
man, the THC value really isn't that it doesn't
no.
really mean anything. I'm
And
all
I
about
don't
the
mind buying
smell.
something that's a little older that didn't sell because somebody didn't like the name of it, right? Or the look of it. Because if it's, I end up with a little bit more because it's a little drier, you know? And I don't mind. I'm going to smoke it anyway. So it's just going to be gone.
Yeah, well, as it dries out, it gains a little bit of THC content. But
I don't
also
mind it.
the chemicals change in it. It's pretty interesting how
You don't
that
want to sell
works
it to me
too.
cheaper, but, hey, have you tried one of those volcanoes?
Oh yeah, dude, where you fill up the bag.
Yeah, the turkey bag, and you get all, blah, blah.
Oh
you know,
yeah, and you can just
oily high,
drill the
which is,
whole bag, as much of that.
yeah, and oily
Yeah,
highs
those
are
are great.
real weird, right?
Yeah, the vaporizer style, right?
I will be clear. Every time I hit a vaporizer, it hits me a different than other pot, than other ways I smoke. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
very clear. It's almost like it's because I've tried a PAX, and a buddy of mine has a volcano, and we'll go over there, and he'll load that. And even if I load in some of my weed, which I think's better, because this buddy of mine loves buying just shit weed and smoke it in his volcano, and I go, well, when you're smoking that much shit, I guess you do got to vaporize it, you know. But that being said, either way, when I even smoke high dollar, stuff that's progressed now, like we were talking about just a second ago in Oklahoma, it's now gotten up to, now they have a couple years in the game. They've gotten a lot better at it, and their pot has legs now, and it lasts longer. And you're not going to the well so many times to quench your thirst, if you will,
Yeah.
It's like, good Lord, I don't want to drown myself just to get what I need. And the same thing went with gummies in Colorado when they're only giving you 5 milligrams and selling you 50 at a time. It's like, good Lord, I'm going to end up with diabetes just to get high. Right?
Oh, it's just too much sugar. What the? Yeah, no, it's great because I
I don't
always
want to
buy
fucking, I
100
don't need that
milligrams.
much sugar in my fucking life. Fuck.
Yeah, that's awful. I would not want to do
Yeah.
that.
Or they mix them with liquor, or something. They make them with alcohol and that Everclear and whatnot. And it's just like, hey, dude, sometimes, I mean, I don't drink at all. And I used to drink. So, it's one of those things that, I taste alcohol when I taste alcohol. I know it. I don't care if, it's burned off and blah, 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 blah. Fuck you. You fucking made it with alcohol.
It's still got that taste
Yeah,
for sure.
just saying.
Yeah.
No way you can ever do that, man. I'm not saying I got drunk, asswipe.
I'm just
I'm
saying it
not saying
reminds me very
I got
much
the
so.
I'm not saying I have the phenomenon of craving because I tasted it, but I'm just saying I don't really care for that taste. That's all I'm trying to say. Fucking nice. Oh, excuse me, a swipey.
Oh yeah, they just taste kind of nasty anyway because that really strong the concentrate weed taste is rough anyway. So, yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
But so how is the the edibles and the weed coming out of Oklahoma right now? Like, because that's interesting, I wonder,
Well, they haven't mandated a lot of laws out of that place, so it's kind of the Wild West, if you will.
that's what I've
But
heard.
so you
It's
can buy on a daily amount. You can buy copious amounts of THC. There's no limits, like if you have a card. But I mean, like the 24-hour limits, like I think like 30,000 milligrams altogether, like that, including flour. Like at flour, I think it's like you can't have more than a pound, at one time. You can't, but but you can only, and like say you buy, like gummies, they sell them in 20. You get 20 squares, either the orange flavor, which is the sativa, and they're 50 milligrams, or the raspberry limeade, and those are 50 milligrams. But there's no terps in them, so there's no wah 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 wah. Both of them are, it's like an AM PM, and they're both very physical because it's, they take out the wah wah, taking the terps out, right?
what taking the terps out. Just
Yeah,
not
there's like
like growing it in a manner where they can come through and you can taste
no, it's
it and
just the
all
way they
that.
strip the THC and reapply it into the gummy, probably.
Oh, okay, I see what you mean.
And it's just, they don't want a lot of
Yeah,
people,
because they're
that
probably
get sick
using
of
they're using like a distillate.
yeah, and if they're using it medicinally, they don't want the wah wah pedal, the
Well, I don't
and I
know.
mean,
That's why usually you go with like the full spectrum oil instead of just the distillate, if you can find if
yeah,
they do that, because then you're still getting all the beneficial qualities of all the other chemicals that are in the plant. But
that's
they're
really
just
kind of where
like,
it goes. That's what it there, and so you can like get a 50 milligram uh gummy, little square, and like tonight we'll go out and my friends who drink and all that, I'll probably take a 50 of each sativa and indica.
okay,
And
yeah.
because where I live, marijuana is not legal, so I can't just walk around and smoke, right, and be like, yeah, I got pinch hitter, woo. Because what happens, you turn into Pigpen, and everyone's like, that dude stinks. Hey, that dude smells like pot. That guy smells like pot. That guy smells like pot. And I'm like, guess what? I smoke pot. No. You know.
Well, in Texas,
Hey.
it's still like
Oh
people
yeah, there's
can do
dude,
that.
I ride Harleys, and I had a guy pull up next to me, and we were out in the middle of nowhere at this place called the Local Coyote, out fucking God, 200 miles away from my home. And I'm, talking in the middle of nowhere, and this biker looks at me, and I'm smoking my pinch hitter. He goes, "God damn shame." And I was like,
What?
I just got shamed by a combat vet, because I'm smoking pot. It's not, what was I over there slapping my arm up, shoving a needle in? Fuck,
Jeez, you should have asked him for a cigarette, man.
I mean, oh, he had a cigarette, dude. I guarantee you, rolled up in his sleeve and shaming me.
Oh yeah,
Fucking yeah, dude. It's the same
cool.
cat.
That's fun.
Yeah, he's a Trump supporter.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like that guy's made a lot of good decisions. That's all. I don't know.
Yeah, fuck politics. Yeah, he's made some decent
You
life
know what?
choices.
I've discovered that anybody with too many bumper stickers on their car is probably an asshole. It doesn't really
Yeah,
matter like what they're saying. If there's too many of them, I'm not sure
do you
about
remember
that.
I don't know if you remember, but there for a while they had one going around that said "mean people suck,"
Oh
and I was
yeah,
like,
yeah.
"That's quite an oxymoron, you dipshit. Who did you come up with that one, fucking Harvard? Because you're being mean by saying they suck."
Yeah,
Just
well,
saying.
this is a little passive aggressive
Yeah,
America
just
for
coming
you. Yeah.
right out with your passive aggressive bumper sticker, people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm
See
making a
what I'm
point.
saying? Too many stickers. You
Dude,
can't.
hey, I'm making a difference.
Come on. Come on.
And first of all, if you're reading my bumper sticker, you're too fucking close to a bummer.
That's right. Get back.
Dude, I don't have bumper stickers. I think I have a sticker on the back of my car that's about the size of my thumb. And it says Greg Knoll Surfboards. It's just this old cat that used to ride surfboards back in the day. When it like this, he wore jailhouse trunks, and he was like the dude back when Duke and all those guys were in Hawaii, and he was the crazy white guy that swam out and surfed the big waves in a pair of trunks that looked like he just broke out of jail.
What? Wow.
And so that's a little sticker I have on my car. I actually went to his surf shop in San Clemente, California before he died, but he was a legend, dude. Yeah.
Oh.
Educate yourself.
Well, I'm not, I don't know much about surfing history at all.
Yeah, Greg Knoll was a guru at type. Him, Jerry Lopez. There's some other ones, but they were D-bags, so I won't mention them.
Well, wait, didn't you've been to the islands a bunch? Like, are you pretty
Yes, I have.
avid? Yeah, I know you're into boarding quite a bit, right?
I board in the lakes behind boats that create waves. I've, far as swimming out and catching a wave, I've done that maybe 4 or 5 times in my life, and I was completely out of breath and wanted to die. Those guys are incredibly good in shape. Um, Swim every day type people and don't realize what good shape they're in, right?
Yeah.
But behind a boat with a toe in into a wave where you just kind of stand up on the board and ride the wave as it's created at 12 miles an hour. Yeah, it takes some core strength and some stability, and not everybody can do it, but it's not that hard. However, I have tried surfing, but not Hawaii. I've been in San Clemente and up around that area and lower Southern California. But and my like I said, got up, fell over on a longboard, um, and having to fight the waves to go back to where you could catch. All by the time I got back out there, I just wanted to lay on the board and just pray that the day ended. Because
Yeah.
I kept thinking if I surf back in, I'm gonna have to swim back in again and do that again, right? And the waves are just, you don't know what you're doing. They're just thrashing you as you're coming in. And I mean, let me tell you, they may not seem like much, but a 3 foot wave will ruin your day
Oh yeah.
without
Well,
fail.
that's a lot of water that's hitting you, and all that water has weight and
And
mass.
then you're on a board trying to swim through against it, and if you don't, you don't know how to dive under the wave and all that. It takes a lot of, I mean, these are things that these guys learn how to get back and forth. I mean, dude, literally, I'm telling you, the first time I caught a wave, it was the coolest thing in the world. And then when I turned around, I was so excited I had to swim back. I mean, I just got slammed, and then the board smacked me in the head. I mean, it was just a comedy of errors. And I straightened the board out. And by that time, I'm standing in ankle deep water. I'm back at the shore. So I was like, they're fumbling all the way back to the fucking shore. And so I'm like, lay on the board and start swimming out. Next thing you know, I'm doing this at every wave, all the way back out just to get 20 feet because I have no idea what I'm doing, right?
Yeah.
But I was going to learn. Fucking A, I learned. I learned real fast. I was out of shape. Because what happens
Yeah.
is, you can have all the technique in the world, but when fatigue takes over technique every time.
Hmm.
In my personal opinion, I mean, skill always goes to the wayside to fatigue.
So like, well, swimming's always like a full body workout, really good exercise. I was just
Sure.
looking it up. So like, surfing, the earliest evidence of surfing can be traced back to 12th century Polynesia.
Damn right, buddy. I was born in Guam. Don't you forget it.
Well, it's just like it's something I haven't thought about. Surfing. It goes hand in hand with weed smoking. If you ask me, it's like all those dudes must have been just chilling over there smoking their brick weed and then just go catch a wave.
I promise you, the guys who were surfing were not smoking brickweed. The natives probably knew exactly what they were doing.
Well, in Hawaii especially has really good outdoor conditions for weed. So
Yeah, and you're not getting any of their good weed. When you get over there, you got to know somebody. Smoke the original Maui Wowies and all that stuff. That don't happen to just you and I. You know
yeah,
what I
that
mean?
don't happen to the Howlee just because we're hanging out. No.
No. No, there's well, yeah, I need to have a little more respect for that thing. Yeah, they cherish those seeds. They won't let them off the island, from what I've heard. And
Oh yeah, man. So check this out. There's a story about Thomas Jefferson, how he actually went to Turkey to get seeds smuggled out of China illegally, and then he brought those seeds back to the Americas. Freaking crazy. Yeah, hemp seeds like actually very highly regarded in a lot of cultures because of its usefulness.
A lot like a vine from a vineyard, and how that's cultivated and cherished from the beginning, the very first one, right? I don't drink wine, but I understand how things grow, and and the way they grow vineries, they talk about what they might have or what they brought over, you know,
Right.
and that kind of thing. Well, anywho, you
Yeah, I was
good?
just now I'm like looking at the history of surfing because that seems pretty cool. Uh yeah. There
There's
are
some
the
cool
early
history there.
records discovered by Captain James Cook in the 1700s where he describes people in Tahiti having fun catching waves on a canoe.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. I mean, because this is history and whatever. We're doing a little history, we're doing a little whatever. So, and this is the
They
kind of
had
cool
those
thing too.
canoes
Is like
with
I don't know
those
anything
canoes
about
with a
surfing, so
they had those canoes with the little thing on the other side that would keep them from flipping over. You know, like it was like they have 2 3 men in them, and it would have like an arm, and it would look like a hydroplane almost. And that boat has been around forever. And they still have races in those things. I forget what they call them,
yeah.
but you ought to look at those too. Those things look crazy.
Yeah, actually, I'm trying to find those because I know what you're talking about because they have that big arm and a sail, right?
Yeah, I have a brother-in-law that him and his wife and him they actually from what I heard they compete in those with those insane. Well, they did for a while. Now they live up in Big Bear, but there was a time that those two competed with those things, and like that takes a lot of upper body strength. Crazy shit.
To hang on to it.
Yeah, man. Hey, I gotta go. I appreciate you recording me, get me going. I got to, edit out, see what you can do with it.
Oh yeah, this will be fun. We'll have to do more of these just because it's so much fun to talk about stuff. Maybe I'll come up with a good subject, or we can talk about surfing next time. Maybe I'll research surfing, and we can.
Anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
I
right.
just we're going to the balloon festival tonight. My wife is going to be home in a bit, and I got to be
Oh
active.
yeah.
Just sit on my ass for an hour and do nothing. But
Oh
I
yeah.
did.
You go and do whatever you want to those balloons at the festival. All right.
Hamada,
You do.
hamada, 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 hamada.
You just get up there and just cut the sandbag.
I didn't say I was
All
flying
right.
them, asshole. I just said I was going to watch them go up, man.
Just getting some of that helium. Is that what you're gonna do? Stick your head in there, and make your voice little. Is that what I'm gonna hear?
Nah.
All right. Well, I'll
holler
let
at
you go.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out. It's always good to talk with you, cuz.
Always, man. I'll holler at you later.
All right. Have a
Bye.
good night, man. Bye.
Bye.
Oh yeah. That's little history, whatever. With my cousin. All right. It's a little insight. So, as always, hey, go ahead and send me an email at jm3e.pod@gmail.com. If you, want me to do a subject, I think this kind of surfing thing is pretty cool. Well, we'll see. All right. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll bring you another show next week.